Hello, folks. Hello, Jim. Hello, Rama. I'll give it a few more minutes. I think Ying won't be joining because it's Chinese New Year. Hello, Rebecca. One minute. Cool. So I'll begin. I only have a few slides to go over today. If the date is wrong, it'll be 2-1. If you have any additional things that you would like to bring up, we can bring them up after I run through my slides. So just a couple of quick updates. The first is on the conformance program. We're now working on defining the testing scope and sort of like fleshing out a plan for what exactly the test cases will end up being that will define conformance. As always, if you're interested in participating in these meetings, you just need to join the mailing list. You can find that from list.prestodb.io and join at any time. You can also reach me offline, and I can share some of the progress that we've made already. But the short stories is that we are working on developing, sort of like a document that lists many of the test cases that we would like to build out. And we will be looking to hire contractors when it becomes time for implementation. The second quick update I would like to reach out about is the community support roadmap. And this is what I really mean here is the open source roadmap. Similar to as we did in H2, I'll be reaching out. If I haven't already, I'll be finishing reaching out this week, asking for anything they intend to develop within H1, including anything that may have rolled over from the previous half. So please be on the lookout for that. I'd like to get this done hopefully by the middle of February. Moving on, there's just one thing that I would like to quickly talk about and I would like to get ideas about, which is how we measure the open source community and how we measure the health of our community. So what I would like to do is basically understand which aspect of the community needs the most support and have it so that the TSC or someone affiliated with the TSC is able to act appropriately. So we want to have this information readily available and easily actionable. And to do that, we want to do that by starting to measure things that we think are important in the community. And what I would like to mention here is that it's I think like certain aspects of measurement are hard to track directly, but what we can do is track indirectly, various aspects of Presto, its position in the community, like at the very top level, like how are people discovering Presto, and then all the way at the very bottom level, like how are people using Presto and are people contributing back to the project. And the way that I like to think of this is sort of like a marketing funnel, where we have a hierarchy of metrics where higher level metrics feed into the lower level metrics. And then at some percentage, each lower level metric, we get conversions into things that we really care about. So I've sketched this out. And this is just one model of thinking about it, and I'm definitely open for discussions, but like coming up with this model has certainly helped me to think about how to divide up certain responsibilities and things that we need to do in order to support the community. So at the very top, we have discovery, which is Presto still being discovered? So like, do people still find the features that are being built out by Presto useful? So for example, like Presto on Spark and disaggregate coordinators and RaptorX, is this still reaching people? Is this still exciting people, encouraging them to use Presto? So are we doing the right things, and are we building the right stuff that's useful by the general population, not just the companies that make up the Presto community? And then lower down in here, we have usage. So like, people might have heard of it, but does this convert into people actually using it? So you can imagine that, someone who is an engineer in a large company finds one particular, feature that the Presto community has developed to be useful, but might not be their cup of tea, or they might have had trouble using it because of lack of documentation or due to bugs. And so we expect some degree of conversion from discovery into usage, so that we have, some conversion, which, we expect after discovery. And this should be measurable. Further down, like the funnel, we have retention. So, after a while, people use Presto more and more. And inevitably, there's going to be some sort of question about like a particular feature, or, let's say something that's on the roadmap, a feature that they wish they had, a bug. So then this is retention. So like this is, more participation, and participating in the open source community itself through small ways like opening issues, small patches. And here, this also can be measurable between usage and retention. And then finally, we have the very, very bottom is maintenance. And this is our contributions actually being kept pace by the Presto technical community, meaning PRs are being closed, reviews are being reviewed, questions are being responded to on Slack. And this is essentially measurement of an indirect measurement of are actually people contributing back after using Presto for a long time. So the goal is you don't want any one of these, sort of like parts of the funnel to be, closed up prematurely. I think the thing that we really want is conversions all the way into maintenance, and sort of like getting stuff back and having this healthy dynamic where people come in, go through this pipeline, and then some portion of them end up being contributors. And you can see that like through discovery, we like some problem with, let's say we end up building the wrong features, or we pivot our design into a direction that ends up being not useful for most people. This would, sort of like cloud out the discovery, metric versus maintenance. Let's suppose we, have these really great features and people are using them and we respond to Slack questions, but then PRs are, getting stale. This is where the funnel cuts off. So it's really critical for us to measure these individual parts so that we understand which part of the pipeline needs help and where we can provide further assistance. And it could be like through people, it can be through extra investment or whatnot. But the first step is really better measurement. So I wanted to go through these slides just to sort of like, firstly, let people know that I personally am thinking about this. And if this is something that interests you and you would like to also contribute to these discussions, I would love to work with you so that we develop, firstly, ways to measure, each of these bullets. But then after measurement, we need some sort of system where we can, periodically address all of these, different metrics that we've created that measure all these important, things. So I just got a Zoom notification that you can now see my screen. Hopefully you were able to see my slides earlier. If not, do let me know and I can go back.
Yeah, we can see them.
Great. So once again, so firstly, like the point is to, number one, create these metrics, understand, like which part of the funnel needs assistance. And then through the creation of metrics, we can create a working group within the TSC to help, to help improve these metrics so that people continue to discover the Presto community, people continue to use it, have their pull requests merge and contribute back. And really, sort of like helped contribute to this virtuous cycle where, users end up becoming developers or, contributors in some other way, and then help others, which is really how, sort of like open source projects succeed the best, which is when we have this two-way motion of not only, sort of like the core team, but, people in the community all helping in little ways, which added up, end up being quite significant when taking a look at in aggregate. So the first is if you would like to, if you have any ideas for some of these metrics, please let me know, and like I can bring you in. And if you don't have ideas on particular metrics, but you would still love to help the community in some way, also let me know, because I do think that it would be helpful for us to create a community support working group, just as we have, like, for example, the conformance working group within the TSC. I do think that a dedicated working group which focuses on community support can be helpful in a very similar way. The first is that we can help to bring together some of our ad hoc efforts. Different companies, large companies within the TSC have different ways of thinking about it. One of the goals would be to kind of bring together all of these ad hoc efforts and sort of like look at this from a whole, as a single a group, rather than sort of like some of the splintering efforts that we have right now. And then the second one is essentially create a self-sustaining system where we track these metric improvements and help to understand where investment needs to go. And then ideally, this sort of like comes back to the TSC in the form of periodic reports or periodic updates that tell the TSC what we need to do next. So I'll pause here. These were essentially all my slides. And if there's any questions or volunteers, I would love to hear about it. Otherwise, I'll, like we can also sync up offline through the mailing list or through Slack. I don't see any unmutes, so I'll take that to mean that we're all good. But definitely, I would love to see some more participation, and sort of like as we sort of like flesh out these metrics, have a lot more detail about them. I know I've talked offline with a bunch of you. I'll definitely be reaching out to those who I know would love to participate, and I'll sort of like bringing more information on this as sort of like we have more details on number one, what are these metrics, how are we going to be measuring them, and then also once we sort of like have better information, how can we do develop tactics for improving them in a sustainable way. Cool. So that's all I had. Is there anything else that anyone wanted to bring up in today's TSC meeting? Okay, I don't see any unmutes, so we can call it a day. I'll see you next month. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.